Hey guys, welcome back to the Cast Spirit Podcast. My name is John, and today we have back on the show Big Jake Lord. You can see him on Instagram. He's a freshwater spearo based in Utah, and today we are going to be talking about how to bring newbies out for their first time spearfishing. Welcome to the show, Jake.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm a big fan of, more seasoned guys taking out young people, getting them some of the proper kind of best practices and making sure they're safe instead of them just going out by themselves. Do you have any kind of words of wisdom for people who might be considering taking out a newbie for the first time?
Yeah, I would say always keep your eyes out for them. Like, don't, because there's like when you're spearfishing, there's going to be fish, but more important, there will always be fish. Like, either it's going to be a big one, you will, in your lifetime, you will always see a bigger fish. And what I've kind of found is somebody's life is more important than, shooting a big fish. So yeah, so I mean, because my thing is like kind of like what I've said in the past is it's more fun to do it with friends that enjoy it as much as you do. And if you're not there, like for their first couple times to like kind of show them, the ropes, and you just kind of like, if you go out and just kind of ditch them and they just be like, "Hey man, figure it out." Like there's no fun in that. And they obviously they're like, "Well, why am I out here?" So yeah, so as far as safety goes, like it's a little bit different taking guys out freshwater when visibility is 15 feet. So yeah, so I just to kind of get it started, I'm like, "Hey, this spot's 10 feet deep. I'm gonna drop my spear gun or drop your spear gun, and you got to go get it." And I'm like, at about 5 to 6 feet, you're gonna start feeling your ears start to like pressurize, pinch your nose, and blow out, kind of like you're on an airplane. So just to get them comfortable with diving down and feeling the pressure, and learning how to equalize, because 100%, like if guys are diving down and pushing past that, like equalization and not equalizing their ears, like your ears could be damaged, like not as far as safety goes.
Now, do you recommend that they take like a freediving class before they meet up with you, or is it not as common in Utah?
There, this is always the joke between my friends and I, is the closest free dive course to Salt Lake City is in California, so we'd have to drive 10 hours to get to get a free dive course. I know actually I met a few free dive instructors at the Blue Water World Cup. Nathan Mignata, who he's a Merrick spearfishing diver. He said he'd be up to meet us in Utah to go spear or to do like a free dive course.
That's tight.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
as far as free diving, like I'm not officially certified through like a FII or anybody or like Patty or anybody like that. So I mean, yeah, not having spearfishing or not having that kind of thing or it's not common. Spearfishing freshwater is not common, but it's still like I have such a passion for it, and I'm not gonna not do it if I'm not like certified.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys have just regular free divers out there? Because I know, like in say Tulum, they'll have the cenotes, which is fresh water, and then they'll all be trying to go down the line and just practice their free diving.
Yeah,
I was wondering if they have people do that out
I
there.
have not met anybody. I'm like, if you free dive, you spearfish. So yeah, I have not met anybody in Utah or know of anybody in Utah that just free dives.
It's prime for the picking, man. You could bring that whole sport out to them. Um, Now thinking about it, because I've taken quite a few people out myself, do you bring your spear gun with you, or do you just say like, "Hey, we're gonna have one gun between the two of us," so that it almost prevents you from like going off and getting kind of distracted?
I mean, I've done both. I'll just bring like one spear gun, and I'll just teach them the basics. I'm like, okay, like I did this last weekend up in Wyoming. Like two kids that like they were in my wife's family, and I'm like, hey, they were like one of my wife's cousins and cousins' kids, and I brought all my spearfishing gear. I was like, hey, you guys want to go spearfishing and try it out? And one of them's like, heck yeah. And then another one came up there, like, hey, can I try after after he's done? I'm like, yeah, of course. So we both have guns, and I have this is during like the 4th of July. So I've got like a float with a dive flag and everything, just so I don't get run over by a boat. But basically I'm like, okay, I set up like a water, or like a bottle that was like 8 feet deep. And I'm like, okay, here, just shoot this just to get a feel for the gun. And then I'm going to show you how to like reload it. So then I'm like, okay, once I reload it, I'm going to have you shoot it again, and I'm going to have you reload it, just so you can get so you're comfortable with the gun before you shoot a fish. And that's what I'll do with most people before, because there's nothing worse than like being close to them and then they're like, okay, well, I shot at the fish, I missed, and now I have to figure out how to load this spear gun that I've never loaded before. Because it's way different than like just, grabbing a, 22 and just pulling the trigger. Like, you have to wrap it around the spear if it's a, open track compared to like closed track. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I want to make sure that they're familiar with the gear. And also I do, like, it's taking new guys out. It's like one of my biggest fear is I do not want to get speared.
There are so many times where I have looked down the barrel and I'm like, the situational awareness of a newbie is just so low because there's so much stimuli going around. That's why I've almost been kind of changing my approach, to be honest. It's the first time you go out with me, we're snorkeling, because a lot of people, it's like they haven't snorkeled since they were a kid or whatnot. So it's like, let's just go look, practice the diving, practice the equalization, and then I just give them a pole spear now, because I'm like, at least if I'm gonna get speared, it's gonna be a lot less bad than with the gun.
You're just gonna have a 3-prong in the side of your leg.
Yeah, I'm okay with that versus a big 7mm shaft all the way through.
Right. Oh, and that's literally my biggest fear is I'm literally going to get shot right in my ass because he's not going to be paying attention. He's going to, yeah. And I when I took these guys up and I'm like, okay, when you're swimming, grab it by the middle of the actual gun and don't hold it like with the handle by the trigger.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And then for ways to practice, or ways that you recommend people just get familiar with spearfishing if they're interested, do you have any like resources that you recommend? YouTube, something?
Yeah, so I mean, just go type. Literally, the internet is like a game changer. You can go and type in the internet, in the YouTube, or even just search bar, how to spearfish or how to free dive, and all these things will pop up. Like you can type in how to build a rocket ship, and things will pop up on how to build a rocket ship. Like the internet is such a great resource on, you can type in what spearfishing gear do I need if I'm a beginning spearfisherman, and it'll pop up. This is what you need.
Absolutely. Utilize Google, the second brain.
All right.
Well, I think that does it for this episode. Tomorrow, guys, we're going to be talking about the spearfishing community and the positive sides of social media. Thanks for being on the show, Jake. Hey guys, one more thing before you go. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast app. And if you like the podcast, please consider rating it on Apple Podcasts and leaving a review. This helps other people find the show. Thanks.